Hey there, YouTubers. Welcome back to Retro RC Garage. My name's Sean, and I'm going to take you down this magical journey of awesomeness. This next project, really excited about. Been contemplating this one for many months. Trinity Switch Blade. It's got some good purple bits on it. So we're going to tear this one down, rebuild it, set it up to run at our local carpet track. Again, we run at High Voltage RC Speedway in Anderson, South Carolina. We currently have a vintage pan car class. You can see this one over here of my shoulder. This is my Associated 10L3 triple shock. The Camaro body. That's an original 10L. It's a wide. My heart is in the pan cars. Going to be rebuilding this pan car, but with a different purpose. I'm excited to build this one. Again, tear it down, rebuild it, but with this vintage pan car, I am really hoping that we can make these 4-cells work. You know, back in I think it was the early 2000s, before the LiPo started coming around, and 6-cell 27-turn pan cars were just extremely fast. They were way too fast for most people to handle, so they dropped them back down to 4-cells. So that's kind of what we're thinking for this class. So it's going to be, we're going to have different class levels, but I'm hoping for an open gear 4-cell, 2,000 milliamp, 27-turn. Word on the street is Exalt is making a 27-turn sealed can motor that the Bush series runs. So the Bush series is modern pan car, sealed M-bell, 2200 nickel metals. Basically run what you brung and hope that you don't dump in 4 minutes. And that's kind of what I was thinking for this class as well. 2000 milliamp, open gear, 27-turn spec motor. ESC, depending on the class, like I said, you can run the Hobby Wing 1060s. It's a $30 ESC. The voltage drop on those is 4.8 cells. I don't know, it just might work. So anyways, let me get the intro out of the way, and we're going to get this one back on the workbench. Again, appreciate you watching. Appreciate all the subscribers. Stay tuned. We're going to get this one going. Alrighty, we're back. Appreciate y'all sticking around. So this is kind of what we're working with. I have my exploited view readily available on the interwebs. I did find a copy of the instructions for the the radical reactive caster front suspension. Now, this car came with something similar. It looks very close to the Evolution 10 front end, but it's not. So it has the switchblade lower arms. But that front, I'm not sure why they did that. Everything that I've seen on the older pan cars, even the old like single beam axles and everything, they work really well for the time. But when Associated came out with that R5 front suspension, it was a game changer. And it's actually still being used today, and we still use it on a lot of our vintage pan cars. Trinity, I believe, made their own version. Same thing with CRC. They have variations. It basically all does the same thing. It just becomes proprietary parts made by a certain manufacturer. But by far, the Associated R5 front end surpasses all the production of Trinity and CRC. Yeah, so I have bunches and bunches of parts here in the bag with, I hope, enough parts to build this proper front end. So gonna time lapse all this. We're gonna get this one broke down. We're gonna get the pieces in some bins. We're gonna get everything cleaned up and clean the chassis up as much as we possibly can, and then we're gonna start reassembling. So we got the car all tore apart. Really didn't take but maybe 15-20 minutes. No real big surprises. There are some things that are gonna have to be addressed going forward, going back together. Probably the biggest thing is this bumper. This is not carbon fiber, this is graphite. Have not seen one of these bumpers on the bay for quite a bit. So see if we can't repair that, put it back together, maybe squeeze some CA glue in it and make it better than what it was. This rear plate looks like it's been hacked on just a little bit too much. Still fits in the car. I can still use it. I thought I had a spare one. I have to dig back through my box and see. But for the most part, everything else wasn't too bad. Those rear bearings in the hub, those were a pain to get out. Like I said, you saw I had to use my Allen wrench to pry them out. So we're probably just going to drop some ceramic bearings in there and try to speed this thing up as best as we possibly can. But for the most part, some of the aluminum, purple aluminum stuff is a little... it's got some wear on it. It's not horrible, but a lot of this stuff is still 100% usable. There's my mess. There's my parts. Next thing to do is clean all this crap up and see what else we got. Alrighty, guys. So I have my parts soaking in what I call VMNP naphtha. Naphtha is a oil and grease remover, and what I like to do is I just drop everything in there. There's probably, I don't know, about an inch of fluid in there. This is just a regular plastic, I think ham came in that one. Ham or smoked turkey, one of the two. Tasty, but that's beside the point. So what it does is it basically breaks down all the dirt, oil, and grease, and gets all that stuff out of there, makes everything nice and clean. We got to do a little bit of scrubbing here to make sure we got all the crap off of it. Once I get, I'll go ahead and I'll pull the parts out, and I'll take a little toothbrush, and I'll go ahead and scrub it and put it out, and I'll put it here on the paper towel, let it dry. Got a spare one here just to wipe everything off if we need to. So the next thing we need to do is get this stuff cleaned up, scrub it off a little bit, and let it sit over here to dry overnight. All right, guys, so we're back. We got all of our parts nice and cleaned up here after sitting in a nice little naphtha bath for, I don't know, a couple hours. Took everything back out, used a little toothbrush and got some of the nitty-gritty areas and got all the dirt and grease and grime off. Like I said, the big thing were these pivot balls. Pivot balls got cleaned. I believe I have new ones. I have to dig through the box to see if I do have some new ones. But yeah, so the car essentially cleaned. I got the chassis all cleaned up. I got some other parts sitting over here. I got my new parts that I'm going to be putting together, and some other stuff that I dug out of the box. Those are my rear offset, my ride height adjusters, and some new bearings. Given the rules that we already established in this class, like I said, it says no ceramic bearings, so I have to use the metal bearings, which is what I have. I've just got some out of the old supply box from RJ Speed. And one important thing to remember is as you're assembling these cars, the instructions pretty much given that you're going to reassemble the car with foam tires. Today's technology, we are able to run a low profile rubber tire. For this class, we're going to choose foam tire, and that foam tire is going to be the BSR World GT blue stripe tire. So there we go. So I have the set of rears here. Look for my fronts. I don't know where they went, but yeah, so those are the tires that we are going to run. So one important thing to remember as you reassemble this car is you have to kind of think forward a little bit, whether it's going to be a rubber tire car truck, or a foam tire foam truck. Some of the big differences are the, like I said, for the rear, your rear ride height adjusters, and the front would be your steering blocks and your kingpins. Let me give you a little insight here. So this is a CRC rolled spec rubber tire. This is just a, I think it's a Parma TRC foam tire. Foam tires have always had a larger diameter wheel. Rubber tires have a smaller diameter wheel on the inside. The rubber tires are always typically taller. The reason you run a foam tire so that you can cut it and true it. Foam tire is a much more low profile tires that applies to the front and the back wheels. That's a CRC rubber tire. This is a traditional foam tire. Even the on the rear tires, the wheel is actually taller and a lower profile foam, where on the rubber tire the wheel is taller, and the amount of rubber on that tire makes it just a taller tire. Now that can come into play with rollout at the end of the day, but given the specs of the classes, that's why there's rules that are set out whether you run a rubber tire or you run a foam tire. Rear ride height is easy to adjust depending on whether you're going from a foam tire to a rubber tire. That's just basically adjusted by your rear ride height adjusters. Those are relatively easy, but going forward, one of the things that we have to think about here is our steering blocks and our kingpins. So your kingpin with your steering knuckle, what happens on a rubber tire? For instance, there's no bearings in this wheel, but I'm just going to imagine that there is. We're going to set that in there. It's fairly centered in there, and you can see that the steering knuckle actually hits on the inside of the wheel. If you do that on a foam tire, you can see that there's a little bit more gap in there, so you have a little bit more room. Just some food for thought as you begin to reassemble your pan car. So it does make a difference whether it's going to be a rubber tire, and a rubber tire may be a cap tire, it may be CRC, Accelerate, BSR tire, whatever it may be. But yeah, just keep that in mind that foam tires, it is a little different setup. So started working on getting the rear pod all assembled. Got our pivot balls in there, our retaining plates, retaining cups. I went back with the original Switch Blade T-plate. This car came with T-plate. It was Associated. Associated uses these discs, and I could have gone back to reuse that. The Associated T-plate was 6.5. This is a 7.5. So this one's a little thicker. It's a little stiffer, and I prefer to use this one as well. Again, we got our pod pieces all screwed in. We got some new some new purple hardware. So forging on to the next step. Alrighty, rear pod is assembled, top plates on, motors in, axles in, new bearings, hubs spaced. Gears in. I opted for 90 for the spur, and I'm going to try 33 for the pinion just to start off with. Looks pretty sweet. Went with the pocket rocket. This motor, I know it works. Didn't work on it. Like I said, the objective is just to kind of get this thing together. Next step is to work on the cross bracing for the shocks and get some of the other stuff, parts and pieces, put back together on there. We'll just keep forging on until we come to the finish line. One step closer. Tires and wheels are on. Rear cross brace is in. The front suspension is done. Turned out pretty good. End up putting a lot of new parts on, so I put new upper links on. These threaded top rods are new. I put new kingpins in, so we can see it. Yeah, so pretty happy. Sitting pretty high right now. Can't really adjust the ride height until we get our electronics in, get the shocks back on it. We can adjust the front a little bit, we can adjust the back a little bit, but I'm going to end up cutting the tires, so not sure how much to cut them. These are full-size tires, but for the most part, I'm getting pretty excited about this one. It's going to be a fun runner. Getting closer. Servos in, tie rods, all the tires, got the servo fastened. I ended up picking up these servo mounts. They were off of eBay, GPM, I believe. That's also where the heatsink came in. Not exactly the same pretty purple, but still fits the car. Somewhat period correct. See how thin the fins are, like some of them are kind of bent. Got the shocks, the rebuild. Probably a reason why these things didn't last very long. There's no seal inside of that cap. Let me go ahead and stop this. See if I can't zoom in here and show you what I'm talking about. So that little black cap right there, this one, leaks like a sieve. There's no seal inside of the shaft. So I ended up getting a rebuild kit for some Associated micro shocks, and they had some foam that I ended up putting in the cups. I took the pusher spring back out, so there's no pusher spring, so the only thing that we're working with is just the shocks, or just the outer springs. Same thing on the center shock. If you remember, it was a little bit longer. There was another little extension. The shock came all the way out here. Not sure why they did that. The way that the shock positions are mounted in the chassis, I had to, I could probably go longer threaded ball cup tie rod ends, and this would probably work out a little bit better, and you could just kind of trim the white out. But I didn't have any of the longer ones. All I had was the short white ones. But yeah, so for the most part, still have to mount the ESC. The batteries are still kind of just floating there until I get everything figured out. I got my battery connectors. I just got some 4mm bullets, and essentially instead of soldering everything in, I'm just going to use bullet connectors to go ahead and just plug it, unplug it, all that other good stuff. Oh, another thing, found a replacement for the factory bumper. This is the original Trinity Switch Blade bumper. It's fine. It's graphite. It's thin. I didn't end up fixing it in this area where it was cracked. But the Team Associated L4 bumper lines up perfectly. And the good thing is that you can still get those. Mudslide Motorsports Track Attack. There's the part number for you. ASC 8488 L4 bumper bolts up perfectly to the Trinity chassis. The other thing was so these screw holes are tapped for 440. I ended up putting the 8/32 in there. So yep, there we go. Just knocked all my stuff off. All right, guys. Couple more pieces to the puzzle, and we're going to get this one wrapped up. I like the progress so far. Excited to see how this thing's going to turn out and actually do on the track. So, alrighty, final wrap up on the Trinity Switch Blade. ESC is installed, receiver, transponder, switch. I got it all wired up. I got my 4mm bullets on my ESC. Got some batteries mounted, turned it on, everything works as it should. Had a little issue getting everything set up. So I had a choice of the, slow this down here. So I had a choice of the Tekin Speedstar. I also had a Novak 410 M5. Doing my research, the Tekin had less on resistance than what the Novak did. So that was my first initial choice. Then I went to the Novak. Then I remembered the boxes that I pulled down. I had this even better Tekin TSC 411G. Why it won't focus. 3 wire has already been converted. I did want to put new wires on it. Smart thing. Always power up your old stuff to make sure it works before you go through the process of making it look pretty. Well, when I hooked it up, there is no switch. Doesn't really make a difference, but when I first powered it up, it released the magic white smoke. Can't see what burned, have no idea. Took the case and the cover off. Not sure. So this one will just probably go in a shelf piece. That one is no more, which is fine. Still have the Novak. Didn't power it up, no idea. But so far so good with the Tekin. I'm still having some power issues. I got the pocket rocket in there, but for whatever reason, when I apply power, it's a stutter. Like I said, you need a little bit of motivation in order to get it going. Everything is nice and free. The motor shouldn't do that, but not really sure. So going to throw that motor on the dyno, but I'm also thinking about replacing it with the Trinity Midnight 2, which is more period correct for the 97 Switchblade. So all in all, I think we're pretty happy with the process. Like I said, you know, fairly straightforward. Great car. The next step is get some batteries cycled, and we need to get the tires cut. I need to get my ride height set, put the car back on the scales, and prepare it for some carpet oval action. Oh, I also have to body post and a body. Still haven't made my final decision. I know the body that I'm looking for. Don't know if I can find it or get it. Worst case scenario, probably go with, I don't know, some sort of Monte Carlo. I like the Grand Prix, so kind of leaning on that. Got some ideas for that. And the other thing that we're working on in the bench, so I've got some batteries, got my iCharger, cycling some batteries, seeing if we can't get these things to fire back up. I've had success with 2 of them, so number 2 that's sitting out here and number 1 that's sitting in the car seem to have some really good readings. Voltage is up there, the amperage is up there. Just a matter of time before we can get this stuff dialed in. Again, these are practice packs. Like I said, we're going to use the Trinity 2000 milliamp batteries as a spec race battery. At least that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. So that's all I've got. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I don't know when the next video will be out, but eventually there will be a video of me at the track testing this car, running the car, making tweaks, making adjustments, trying to make it better, just making sure that everything works the way that it was. It will have a body on it, and we'll have it totally wrapped up. So until next time, appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Retro RC Garage. My name's Sean. Hope to see you next time.